Bonjour, today we're learning about expressions du temps, expressions du temps, so different ways to talk about time. And these will come in really handy with our new verb venir. So we're going to talk about three different expressions du temps aujourd'hui. La première, ça c'est il y a. Deuxième, pendant. Et troisième, depuis. Premièrement, il y a. We already know this from last year about how to say il y a means there is. Like, for example, in our classroom, we'd say il y a 32 bureaux, there are 32 desks, but can also describe how long ago something happened. So this is when you're saying that something happened a certain time ago. So you say il y a, and then the length of time that has passed since whatever you're talking about. So for example, we could say il y a 4 heures, nous étions dans l'école. So we have il y a, and then the expression of time, 4 hours. Nous étions dans l'école. So altogether that means 4 hours ago, we were in school. Un autre exemple, ça c'est j'ai visité ma sœur il y a 5 jours. So although it comes at a different place in the sentence, we have the same format. We have il y a, and then we have the expression of time. So you can go ahead and try to guess what this one means. It means I visited my sister 5 days ago. And you can see here, il y a can be used with either l'imparfait, like étions, or passé composé, like ai visité. So il y a is a certain time, and however long ago it was. Pendant, ça c'est un peu différent. Pendant describes something that happened for a particular period of time, but is now over. So il y a is like one point in time, pendant happened for a particular period of time, but is now over. Et parce que c'est fini, because it is over, we usually use it avec le passé composé. The way to use pendant, you do pendant, and then the time period. So let's look at a few examples. First one, il a étudié pendant 3 heures. So first we want to note that we have the passé composé here, il a étudié, and we have pendant 3 heures. So we have pendant and then the period of time. This one would be translated like he studied for 3 hours. Again, we have something that was a particular period of time. It's a little bit different than il y a, where you're describing how long ago something happened. Here you're describing for how long it happened in the past. Un autre exemple, ça c'est l'équipe du foot a joué pendant 4 mois. So looking at our last example, try to pause and take a guess of what this next example means. This one would be translated, the soccer team played for 4 months. So we have pendant, which is it's not a direct translation, but it's like the equivalent for how we use for in these sentences en anglais. Et puis, le temps. So we have 4 mois, that is our unit of time, 4 months. And lastly, depuis. That is something that has been going on since a particular time, but it is still continuing in the present. So again, to recap, we have il y a, that says how long ago something happened. Pendant talks about how long it happened in the past. And depuis tells you how long it has been happening, up until the present. So we usually end up using it with the present tense because this is an action that is still going on even though you're describing how long ago it started. The way that we use this one is depuis, and then the time period, date, or starting point, just to give us some sort of reference in time. So we have an example here. It says, nous parlons français depuis la commence de l'année scolaire. So we see right away present tense, nous parlons, and we have depuis, and then our starting date, la commence de l'année scolaire. If we translate that, we have been speaking French since the beginning of the school year. So although in English we have been speaking, and it's a slightly different use of the verb, in French, nous utilisons le présent. We still use just the present. So we have il y a, how long ago something happened, pendant, how long it happened in the past, and depuis, how long it has been happening. Et puis, nous allons un peu de pratique avec le verbe venir et les expressions du temps. So this is to review what we just learned in this video, as well as what we learned the other night in our video about venir. So let's start with the first example. Chloé, tu, blank, avec nous à la cantine. So our first clue, we have a couple clues. Our first one is that because the blank follows right after a subject, it needs to be a verb, because we know that a complete sentence needs both a subject and a verb. So we have tu, so we want to look over here and decide which one is our verb. We also know that verbs like venir will end in S if we're talking about tu. So that leaves us with one option, which is viens. So then our complete sentence, Chloé, tu viens avec nous à la cantine? Chloe, are you coming with us to the cafeteria? And that makes sense, so we can cross out our option there. Second sentence, vous, blank, du monsieur? So again, we have a blank right after the subject, vous, which means that we're going to be looking for a verb. And with venir, like most verbs, we know that the way that you conjugate it for vous is most likely going to end in ez. So looking over here, we see venez. We can guess that's our option. Vous venez du monsieur? That translates to, you come from where, mister? So we know that we can cross that one out. Next one, les obéis, blank, de dîner au café. This one might be un peu plus difficile parce que c'est un nom. This is a name. So we know because we see les, it's going to be plural. And we know that because it's a name, we're looking for a verb. So we want to look over here and see which of our options could be a verb for a plural subject. And we have two options. Nous avons viens et tiens. The way that we choose between the two, we've got to think about the meaning. Viens is our correct answer because tiens means to have, but viens can either mean to come from or it can be talking about le passé récent. And in this case, because we have a verb that we need to fill in, de, and then an infinitive, we know that the rest is following our pattern of the passé récent. So we need to find venir to complete that pattern. So altogether, this means the obéis come from eating at a cafe. So we can cross out viens. Numéro 4. Julia Child est blank célèbre en 1961. So Julia Child is the subject of our sentence. And we already have a. So we know that we're going to be looking for a verb, but because we already have this helping verb, we're going to be looking for a verb that's a past participle. And because we have être as our helping verb, and because Julia Child is feminine, we know that we'll be needing to find a past participle that's also feminine, meaning a past participle that has an e at the end. So it leaves us with one option, devenu. And if you remember, devenir means to become, so this actually makes sense. So it means Julia Child became famous in 1961. So we can go ahead and cross out that option. Okay, we're halfway. Next one. Qu'est-ce qu'il blank dans la main? So we have il, they, and then a blank. So we know that we need a verb to come next, and we know that it needs to be a plural one. And last time we identified viens and tiens as our plural verb options, and only tiens is left, so there we go. And if we put that together and we say qu'est-ce qu'il tient dans la main, that really just means what do they have in their hands. Because we remember tenir means to have. Not like avoir. Tenir means like literally what do you have in your hand? What are you holding on to? Numéro 6. Ils sont blank du supermarché à midi. Ça c'est comme numéro 4 parce qu'il y a être pour le verbe auxiliaire. Alors il faut trouver le participe passé. Et parce qu'il, ça c'est pluriel, il faut trouver un participe passé qui est pluriel aussi. So we have to find the past participle that's plural, meaning that il y a une S au fin du mot. Alors, il y a revenu. Revenir, we'll remember, means to come back, so this makes sense. They came back from the supermarket at noon. So we can cross that out. Now we've only got two more, and these are expressions of time, il y a and depuis. So to help us out when we solve these, we want to remember that il y a means how long ago something happened, and that depuis means about how far back it happened. So how long it has been happening. So numéro 7, on parlait facilement blank 10 ans. So we have 10 years. On parlait facilement 10 ans. Let's look at number 8 so we can compare the two. Number 8. On mange bien blank l'arrivée de maman. So we can try both for number 7 and see which one makes more sense. First of all, we have on parlait facilement il y a 10 ans. So we started speaking easily 10 years ago. Or we started speaking easily depuis 10 ans. Since 10 years ago. In this case, il y a is going to make a little bit more sense because we're learning how long ago something started to happen. So that's going to be our option here. Et pour numéro 8, on mange bien. I mean, we know the answer is going to be depuis because it's the last one left, but let's try to understand why. On mange bien depuis l'arrivée de maman. Ça, c'est la bonne réponse because we are talking about they have been eating well since mom arrived. So it's something that has been happening and has continued to happen since this moment in time, which means depuis, ça c'est correct. So take a minute to review that if you need to. That helps with veneer as well as with our expressions of time. And let me know if you have any questions.